Coach Vermeil, how are you, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Well, wonderful to have you on the show, and always extra special when it's the Eagles and Dallas. Dick, before we get specifically to the game, I'm curious, I'll use the word consternation that's been swirling around the Eagles, a lot of chatter, all that stuff. You know the deal. How frequently would you say in your career that your team or other teams, when they're great, and you certainly coach great teams, one that made a Super Bowl, one that won a Super Bowl, how often is there this level of consternation amongst great teams?
I don't remember it. Okay, I really don't remember it. Any comparison?
Wow, that's saying something. That really is. Yeah. So let's get to the offense, Coach. I had made the point earlier in the show. This is the kind of game facing a weak Dallas defense. It'll be disappointing if the Eagles' offense doesn't crank it up. Do you feel that they will, or what you've seen through 10 games, does it give you concern that the Eagles probably will win the game but still might look pretty pedestrian on offense?
Well, I think they'll continue to get better because I have faith in their coaching staff. And I think we just overplay the fact. I think maybe even the team is getting tired of hearing they aren't what they used to be. They aren't as good as they were last year. If the shoe were on the other foot, let's say it was the Eagle defense this year that is not as good as last year, but we're still 8-2. There wouldn't be nearly as much noise. Okay, They'd be just happy as hell we're 8-2. But when it's the offense, it gets so much attention. I think everyone sort of gets tired of hearing about it. The offense is good enough right now to go 8-2, and I think they'll get better. And right now, my computer says they're going to win by 4. I'll be surprised if they don't win by more. Okay.
Wow. So, how concerning is it to you, Coach, that our premium play, the play that no one can ever seem to stop, the tush push? Just last week, it got stymied twice by the Lions. Is that a bad sign of things to come? Is that something that we should take a clue here? Like, hey, this offensive line really is not functioning at the level it needs to, or that level that we've been accustomed to watching from our Eagles over the last couple of years?
Again, we're spoiled. The offensive line is not what it was last year physically. There's too many injuries, and you, no matter how hard you coach, no matter how hard you work them, if players are injured and you're playing backup players who don't make the same kind of money those starters do, your offensive team is not going to be as good. Those big guys positively influence every category of offensive statistics. Red zone scoring, the amount of times you get in the red zone, the amount of opportunities you get to kick field goals, the percentage of making first downs, they're all positively influenced by the offensive line. And when they're banged up and not as good as they were, their stats aren't going to be as good. It's amazing to me that the quarterback is performing so well within that situation.
Well, that's the thing. I worry that that they won't trust the quarterback run plays, like the design quarterback power, the design quarterback draw. Those plays, it feels like, and Chris Collinsworth talked about it on the TV copy of the game last week. Jalen Hurts running the football sort of is what supercharges this offense and what creates the mismatches, and we haven't really done much of that this year. I'm wondering when we'll see more of that.
That's a sound observation. He's not running the ball as much, and there's reasons for it, I'm sure. If he runs the ball more, it helps the offense in terms of defenses can't play as much man-to-man coverage. They have to play more loose zones because somebody has to be accountable for the quarterback when he runs. When they're in man-to-man, normally a situation other than putting a spy on him, there's nobody on him. So the running percentage is really good, and it influences the offense overall. And I wouldn't be surprised to see him run more, especially in big, tight games, especially in the big game, not against teams they should beat without running them.
Well, does it feel like part of what makes us so good, our quarterback being conservative and protecting the football. That's also part of what frustrates a lot of our fan base. Our quarterback and our coaching staff, they are so conservative. Is it becoming so conservative that it's too conservative, in your opinion, Coach?
Well, I'll tell you, in terms of turnovers, I think it's very smart football. Over a 5-year study that I did, when a playoff team was -1, they only won 52% of the time. When they were +1, they won 71% of the time. If you're -2 as a playoff team, you lost 69% of the time. So they're doing those things right. What they have to do is get more explosive in the offense again. Get those big one plays, and the personnel there is to do it. And I think it'll happen.
So, Dick, on that point about how they don't turn it over much, and specifically Jalen doesn't, they win, but it's obviously a limiting factor for more yards and more points. If you were coaching Hurts, would you say and coach him to be less conservative, or would you just say just keep doing what you're doing?
I would say be who you are, and not restrict him from running. Because, defensive line pressure can create good quarterback draws, okay? But they aren't designed. And sometimes your offensive line prevents that from happening because they're doing such a good job at pass protection. That may not be true this year. It was true last year.
Yeah.
And I think those guys always include a few running plays that are specifically designed for him to run. They haven't done as much as they did last year, and I think from what I hear, the RPO factor is not as involved in the offense this year as it has been in the past. So that reduces the number of time he touches the ball. But I really believe the more time he touches it, the less man-to-man coverage you get the next time around. Yeah.
Coach, I'm curious, and maybe this is almost unfair because you used to literally coach the Eagles, and so your intensity would be through the roof. But I'm curious, looking at the rivalry, do you hate or dislike the Dallas Cowboys as much as you used to? People are getting on my case because I said I don't, in part because I feel like they've been dormant for 30 years. Do you personally still dislike them as much as you used to?
Not really. I watched that TV series, America's Team, and I gained some respect for the owner, a tremendous amount of respect for the quarterback at that time, Troy Aikman. I thought that was an outstandingly produced football show. And I got more insight to the ownership of the team and his thinking, so I sort of reduced the amount of hate I have for them.
This is huge news, Coach.
This is big news.
You are a big reason why a lot of the city of Philadelphia despises the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, everybody dislikes the person they can't beat. At that time, we could not beat them very often. It took 4 years to beat them, okay? Boy, I'll tell you, Nick and his staff have beaten a lot sooner and a lot harder and a lot more firm and better. So we've got to give him credit for that. This year, Brian Schottenheimer's coaching the team, and I've known him since he was a puppy. Okay, and I brought him into the league with me in 1997 as an assistant coach and got him started. So I know him, and I appreciate him and respect him, and I'm not surprised at all. Their offensive team is more explosive than it has been.
Coach, so do you compare him? I mean, who would you compare him to of the other, I don't know, coaches out there? I know he spent some time under Pete Carroll also. It's amazing how working under someone can sort of affect the way that you treat your players. Does Pete Carroll rub off on guys? Do you rub off on guys?
Well, we all hope so. And Pete Carroll was more successful offensively when he had Brian Schottenheimer there. He removed him from the position, and the quarterback never performed again as well. Okay, sometimes you make the mistake as the head coach.
Coach, let's get your prediction. Eagles and Cowboys down there. What are you thinking?
Well, my computer says we win by 4. I'll be surprised if we don't win by more. Our defense is getting better. And you can't look at the stats for the year and say this is what they are. You've got to look at the stats the last 2 ball games, and this is what they are now. And under Vic Fangio's guidance and his staff, no one coaches defense any better than those guys are doing right now. And what an advantage to have him on our staff. And Nick knows that. Hey, Jeffrey Lurie knows that. Howie knows that. And we as fans know that. But I just think, our defense, the best part of our defense is our pass defense. We do a great job of preventing completions. And so I just think we'll beat them physically as long as we're not saying, we're playing a losing team. The last losing team we played was Giants, or a few weeks ago, not the last one, but we played them the first time. They clobbered us. So we've got to go into the game with a mental attitude that this team can beat us if we don't play well.